Welcome to my Rubik's Cube solver. This project was mainly to see how close I could get to photo-realism in the web browser using the Three.js library. It's not perfect, but I think it still looks pretty good. If you've done any serious graphics programming, or if you've studied graphics programming, then what I'm using is the Three.js library, and then I'm using the MeshPhysicalMaterial to get the realistic physically based rendering. And for the Windows, I'm using basic directional lights with environment mapping, and then for the anti-aliasing, I'm using super sampling to smooth things out. And if you have studied these things, you'll know what imperfections to look for, but I think you'll still agree it looks pretty good. So we'll go through a couple of examples quickly. So first of all, we'll scramble to get a random configuration. I'll fill in the cube map here with a random configuration. We can solve that, and that gives us our result. It's solved the cube, 141 moves, or 168 if you include rotations. The details of the solution are in the table here, and then we've got the player controls here along with the 3D depictions. We can play through this animation. We can jump to the end, we can jump to the beginning, we can step through it, we can pause, we can speed up or slow down the animation, and we can reduce the quality if things are running particularly slowly, because that will make it run faster. So let's just run a couple of steps, and I think that looks pretty good. So we'll pause that, and we will now enter a manual configuration. So we'll clear the cube map, and I've got my own Rubik's Cube here in my hand. First of all, just need to make sure you're holding the cube properly, so one of the center tiles will have writing on it. Make sure that's the front face, and then have the green center tile as the up face, and then it'll be easier to fill in this cube map. So we'll do that, and you'll see that there are various counts here to validate that we're entering a sensible configuration of the cube and not something that's impossible for the solver to solve. So just need to be careful about how we do this. Make sure you hold it properly throughout. Should be orange, unless we made a mistake. Yeah, good. So that seems to be valid. We could try and solve it. Just because these counts add up doesn't mean it necessarily will be valid. If, for instance, we'd mucked about with the cube, if we'd taken out this edge tile, for instance, and swapped it around, let's just do that effectively. We swap those around. These counts will still add up, but when we try and solve it, not solved, probably an invalid cube configuration submitted. So it knows it can't solve that. So let's just change it back, because we know what the problem is, and we'll try and solve it again. And there you go, it solved it. Solved it, 93 moves, or 114. So let's just play that through. There we have it again. Quite a nice realistic animation. And hopefully, yeah, that will result in a solved cube. So the Three.js library, very impressed with it. I think we should all be using it, looking for an excuse to brighten up our websites with it. But without getting too serious about these things, of course, because as always, if you really want to see some realistic lighting and shading, the best way is to go outside. So thanks for watching, and happy solving.